Hare Krishna devotees, thank you so much for joining this evening Bhagavatam glorification session. So I'll start with offering prayers. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadhanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachasya Vesatarini. Let us recite prayers to the Bhagavatam. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Susrusho Shraddhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi San Mahatsevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat Srunvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridayantastoi Abhadrani Vidunoti Srusatam नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेतयेतैरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगता भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गः सजायते विद्यते हृदयाग्रन्थिश्छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशया सियन्ते सस्य कर्माणि दृष्ट एवात्मनेश्वरे. Thank you all once again for joining this evening Bhagavatam glorification. So when I had this idea of glorifying the Bhagavatam from Sridhar Prabhu a few days back, and then he shared his thought process, what we should do. So it looked very fascinating to me. So I said, yeah, let us do it. So let us do it, Prabhu. But then he was not happy with it. He said he was asking me to share my idea or my thought process. Actually, it was Devamurthy Mataji also shared this idea. Let us glorify Bhagavatam. Then he expounded on top of it. Then he was asking my idea about glorifying the Bhagavatam, what I wanted to do. So then I said, no, let us do this. This looks better. Then no, Bhagavatam has the capacity to fulfill everyone's desires. You share your ideas. Then I gave my ideas. Okay, that I mean, we said, okay, let us read Bhagavatam on the Bhadra Purnima day, from morning to evening, and like what we did some I think couple of years back. So I think yeah, we'll be planning to do that as well. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, everybody, whoever wanted to share in that thing, I mean, everybody's ideas can be fulfilled by the Bhagavatam. So it has the potency. So he was sharing that. So then coming back to this glorifications, Bhagavatam. So actually when I mean, we were all small, we used to read in these language books, right? Especially when I went through the Telugu medium. So we used to hear these stories of Prahlad Maharaj and Gajendra Moksha and all when we were small in the school books. Right, so I mean, also heard from elderly people. I mean, I was very curious about what is there in the Bhagavatam. I mean, of course, I know only the very few stories, not so much very famous stories. But then I attended, I think, one Bhagavatam presentation in that town, but I don't think I got anything. Even I could not get even a story also. Because I was small boy, of course. So then I think until I came in contact with Prabhupada's followers, I mean, I mean, I could not even understand what is there in the Bhagavatam. Right. So then I got my first canto of Bhagavatam many years back. right? Then I was hearing all the classes, but then I read, I think once, that first canto many years back. Then when I moved here a few years back, that time Vamshidhar Prabhu came to know that we don't have Bhagavatam set full, right? So then he said, no, we need to take it. So I was thinking, no, I should be reading only first canto, because I was actually earlier time we were not encouraged to read beyond first canto for some reason. So then he said, no, we need to take it. Then why should I do it? Because I'm not going to read whole thing anyway now, so I'm not pure. So, but then we took it somehow, right? So he convinced. So we took it, and then also actually I could not go beyond first canto for for few years, right? So I was just reading again first canto. So I got stuck there. So then I was asking him, and how they were able to move. Then he shared about the idea of reading in some few other devotees. Then I checked with Undan Prabhu and Sanjay Prabhu. They also had similar kind of problems. Then we started a small group. It was in 2018 or 19. I don't remember exactly. So then we were able to move beyond first canto, right? So that's how, because of the association and the help from each of the other devotees and support from many other devotees, we were able to go beyond that. So, of course, Bhagavatam, as we had, as Rum Padmaras was quoting recently, right? Any canto from anywhere we can take. It is like ice cream, right? Any kernel is sweet. So, but yeah, somehow they had that idea of reading first canto only. So, anyway, so then we started these Bhagavatam classes at the temple on weekends, and again, I think Vamshidhar Prabhu only gave this idea, why don't we do on weekdays also? Right? Then we worked on with all the devotees support. Many devotees supported, and everybody agreed to do it. So, and of course, in the initially we have few devotees to do on weekdays. Then, but slowly everybody signed up, right, with all the help. So then, but my attraction to Bhagavatam got increased. More. I always like to use it to hear. So from the senior devotees and Maharaj and all, when whoever comes to the temples. But then my attraction to Bhagavatam increased more. Of course, when I heard His Holiness Prabhupada Maharaj when he was here during COVID time, he used to give every day morning, right, without a miss. It doesn't matter whatever was the peak COVID time. So, but I was fortunate to attend most of the classes. So in here in Nepal, right. So that's when I think my attraction was little more developed, right, compared to still I don't have a lot of attraction, but still whatever I have, it was coming from the source, right? And also with the association of many devotees in the community who had lot of attraction to the Bhagavatam. So by being with them, right, I'm able to get some kind of attraction to the Bhagavatam. Anyway, so the unique position of the Bhagavatam, I was hearing some few years back, right? So from His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu, Arudha Mataji's elder son. So I think he gave a seminar in Silicon Valley about the glories of Bhagavatam. I could not hear that class last couple of days. I wanted to hear, but few things I remember. The way he was establishing the unique position of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? He started, I think, I took some notes at that time. So here he was talking about the way. Of course, it is a Purana, Bhagavad Purana. My experience. Whatever Puranas, couple of Puranas I read when I was young, because some elderly people used to ask me to read. So, but they were like stories, right? Just like a stories, you do this, you will get this, right? It's still like a karma kanda activity only. But then it doesn't give any clarity. That like one Puran I remember, Kartik, in Kartik month we used to read, but it says both Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, right? Go and lit the lamp and worship here, and you get this. You go back to Vaikuntha and all. But then again, it was kind of, it doesn't have any clarity of who is the Supreme Lord, right? When it comes to Srimad Bhagavatam, the first verse itself starts with, right, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So there is no, again, if we read, of course, the second chapter, whole chapter is very beautiful. So there is says actually that Vasudeva, Paradeva, Paraveda, Vasudeva, Paramaka, that two verses, right? So everything is Vasudeva, and ultimate Vasudeva Paragati, right? At the end, ultimate object of knowledge is the Supreme Lord, is the supreme goal of life. So again in third chapter he says, of course, that Paribhash Sutra verse, Ite Shamsha Kalapumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam verse. So throughout the Bhagavatam, even if you go to second canto, third canto, everywhere, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. It doesn't confuse us. right? I mean, it's such a vast literature. It doesn't give any other indication other than the Krishna is the Supreme Lord. From beginning, I mean, of course, Nantakanta supremely talks about the glories of the Lord, Supreme Lord Krishna directly, but it gives that kind of, it doesn't confuse us. It's theologically very, very consistent message, right? And then the other one, I think I heard that Bhagavatam has the most number of commentaries by acharyas. Only exception is Bhagavad Gita. It was very surprising. I mean, of course, only very elite people used to have these books, right? Because these are very, very vast big literatures. The kings used to have it, and maybe some great personalities used to have them. I mean, if we remember Bhakti Vinod Thakur time, he was trying to get this Bhagavatam, right? Hardly there were few copies. I don't know, one or two or few. So it was hard at that time. He just 100 years back, right? Maybe this most of these commentaries were lost, and then he was able to get. I mean, few comments. I mean, even those 80. I think I had, if I remember correctly, there were 80 or 90 commentaries are there on Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, of course, even our acharyas only did a lot of them, right? Java Goswami did, and then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I mean, all the commentaries were there, but then when it comes to Bhakti Vinod Thakur time, there are not many copies were available. Of course, forget about the common people like us, right? So, I mean, it is impossible to imagine to have the Bhagavatam copy at our homes. But by the Prabhupada's mercy, and I mean, we are all able to have not even one set, we can have two sets, three sets, whatever we want. It is very easy, right? So it is, I mean, of course, Vaisheshik Prabhu is spreading, I mean, this unique position of Bhadra Purnima, right? So because of that, and all the followers of Srila Prabhupada, I mean, of course, this is all coming from Prabhupada, right? Because of him, all of us are able to have this great literature. I mean, I was just remembering in this context. I mean, of course, Prabhupada did so much work, right? I mean, he's used to sleep very less night, 2 hour, couple of hours a day, right? And then, but he, if I remember, I mean, if I go back, the way he struggled in India just before coming to America while translating the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? He was not having any help. He was all alone. So he was going by the train, the third class. Right? He'll come in India, how hard it is to travel, and he used to go a little far away from the station to get that not rickshaw even that right that horse cart. So because if he takes that cart near the station, it is little expensive. If he goes little walk, then it will be cheaper. He was not very young. Okay, he was 60s at that time. So he was trying to save that money to just print books because he has this he is not thinking of printing one volume or one canto of Bhagavatam. From the beginning he was saying 60 volumes, right? So I think if I remember 60 volumes of Bhagavatam, nobody was ready to do that because he was a sannyasi, he doesn't have money, so who is going to sell them, right? He is alone who is selling them. So, and then he is the proofreading. He is walking and I mean staying there until that person comes, right? So, just he has to go and different places to sell it and raise the funds and to print I mean, because he's not printing the whole first canto as one volume, right? He was printed like three different volumes. So he wanted to get the money because he was not able to sell so many, right? His people were not ready. He was all alone. So it was a so hard struggle. I mean, if we can understand that, right? I mean, of course, Lilamrita, it gives a lot of details. So I mean, we get some. He was actually very clear. Actually, he wrote to I think Dr. Rajendra Prasad saying that I will go back to Godhead. I will take many people along with me, right? So well, please don't think me that I'm a madman because I'm saying this. And this great literature has that power. So he was so convinced, right, in writing that. He took so much struggle. Of course, he had some support when he came to America, but I mean after some years. But in the initially when he did first canto, he really, I mean, sweat his blood. Right, it was really happening because he was walking all the way at that age, and he was doing. I mean, of course, proofreading and printing and raising money, selling those books. He's all alone. He was doing. So I mean, I was just thinking how much Prabhupada put his effort in translating Srimad Bhagavatam. Right, he wanted to give that literature to all of us. So I mean, of course, the verses itself is very powerful. But I mean, of course, for many of us, I mean, at least for me, I mean, it will be very difficult to understand just the verse. Right, it looks like just a story. So I mean, we were just reading in some time back the King Puranjana story. I mean, it's impossible to understand that. Even the verse or the translation, what it is, without the purports, it is not even possible. Forget about that. Any verse, any verses in the Bhagavatam, it will be just a, simple story, or some verses we may get little bit message, but it's very hard without the purports of Srila Prabhupada. So that much he put his blood, energy, and everything, heart into translating those books to give it to all of us. Anyway, going back to that unique position of Srimad Bhagavatam, so I mean, it was very theologically consistent. It was very unique Purana. I mean, of course, the language itself, right? I mean, the verses, Bhagavad Gita verses are like the simple verses, right? I mean, compared to other than the Karpanya Dosho, Bhavato Svabhava, those are little bigger verses. But if you see Bhagavatam, the first verse itself is, I mean, very difficult tongue twister, right? Janmadiyasya Anyavaditi Ratas. Satvesh Abhignaswarat. I mean, that whole verse is very, I mean, of course, the first one, second one, third one comes a little bit less, right? I mean, but then, I mean, it all gives, okay, how powerful this book is. It is not a easy book to understand. Of course, the Sanskrit is one thing. I mean, of course, the commentary of acharyas, without the help of a bona fide acharya, one will not be able to understand. I was hearing, if I remember correctly, even the Sanskrit itself in the Bhagavatam is unique. So it is not very commonly used language everywhere else. Some of the words are only uniquely used only in Bhagavatam. So I mean, it's impossible for a person, even a Sanskrit scholar. It's hard to understand Bhagavatam. It is not very easy. So it is not a simple Purana. It is actually a very consistent and very systematic message. And other beauty is, I mean, it has a lot of philosophy also. It is just not a story, right? I mean, we all read many, I mean, few cantos. So it is just not the stories. It has, I mean, very wonderful philosophy also. I mean, we know the Sankhya Yoga, so by Lord Kapila, and I mean, if we see the calculation of time, those couple of chapters, and the creation, sub-creation, how Brahma gives it to Narada, Lord Vishnu, I mean, Vishnu gives it to Brahma, right? And the astronomy, it's so much details. When generally Puranas will not have these kind of details, right? They will have just stories. So one other thing, I mean, in this context, one thing comes to my mind. I was reading that second canto, the chapter names. At the end of last chapter, Prabhupada says, Srimad Bhagavatam is answers to all the, what is it? Srimad Bhagavatam is answer to all the questions. Yeah, that's what it says. Srimad Bhagavatam is answer to all the questions. So the other thing I was thinking, I mean, what does Srimad Bhagavatam has? So it is just not the, I mean, of course, the Bhagavad Gita is a philosophy. I mean, Lord gives the instructions how to follow, but Bhagavatam shows us some of the examples of devotees who are doing it, right? And it gives a lot of details about what happens to I mean, a person, great personalities. So making mistakes, right? Like Indra, Lord Brahma, and what happens and how did they come out of it, and how people are envious of the Lord, and how they also got liberated, right? And there are, I mean, extreme examples of Hiranyakashipu, right? Very inimical to his son. So, and then, I mean, the King Vena's example, right? Very bad son to a great, I mean, king. So all this, and also Dhruva Maharaj. I mean, one can have so many material desires. I mean, highest desire. I don't think anybody can have that kind of desire. I mean, material desire like Dhruva Maharaj had it, right? Getting a kingdom bigger than his great grandfather. So, I mean, all these personalities, how they got of course, other example is Daksha, right? And the Kumaras, say great sages, they made a mistake, right? So, I mean, even Jaya and Vijaya, I mean, of course, they made a mistake or not, that is a different thing, but Jaya and Vijaya, they also got punishment for their whatever so-called mistake they did. So, I mean, all these things, how the Lord helped them in each and every instance, right? So many of these pastimes help us understand when we come across some of the situations, right? Some, I mean, some maybe time may not be as big as those situations, but some tiny situations which are big problems for us, right? How we can take inspiration from these great personalities and rectify them. So that's what we can learn from this great literature. So when it comes to some of the favorite verses and purports, I mean, of course, many devotees shared. I mean, I have, I mean, few of them. I mean, of course, the whole Bhagavatam is very beautiful. Especially, I like very much the first canto, second chapter. The verses are very, very nice, right? It's very, I mean, ground to I mean, that kind of verses, right? Prabhupada called out these, I mean, some of these verses, I mean, that we recite in the beginning of glorifying Bhagavatam, or beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the song that he wrote it in the Jaladutta ship after arriving in Boston harbor, like Boro Krupa Kailo Krishna Adamera Priti song. So he was writing that in extreme humility, right? He called out these four slokas from this chapter, right? I mean, for primarily for me, I mean, out of all, I mean, in this chapter, the one sloka that really gives lot of hope is the Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki verse. Right? It says, I mean, of course, we all heard the translation: by regular attendance into classes of Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Right? So this is one very hope-giving verse. I mean, somehow or other, I want to serve Srimad Bhagavatam, right, and the devotee Bhagavatam, right? So I mean, by reading, or by doing some service, by distributing, or so I mean, sometimes, right, the way Bhagavatam reciprocates is very, very I mean, of course, we all heard that Bhagavatam is a person, right? It reciprocates. I mean, a lot of times we have this mentality, fruity mentality, right? I mean, when we go for the distribution, I mean, we wanted to get some encouragement. So I mean, a lot of times it is little not easy to give Bhagavatam sets, right? I mean, it's hard for some devotees. It may be easy, but for me, it is not very easy. But then, but if I really want to get encouragement, I mean, if if I get inspiration, I pray, please help me to distribute one set today. I mean, immediately, I mean, it goes after some time. I mean, immediately it goes somehow or other. Recently, I remember, I mean, I was just thinking, let this go and let Bhagavatam go to one person's home. Somebody came from out of the way and then asked, okay, can I take this? I mean, it was myself and Vamshidhar Prabhu went for one event, and that person came and asked the set. I didn't even say anything. So I mean, it was the way Bhagavatam reciprocates is very, very unique. I mean, it happens. I mean, it happened a few times. The other one, I mean, we were just thinking about, I mean, scheduling these Bhagavatam verses, right? On the Balaram Jayanti, exactly the verse that Balaram and Lord Krishna's appearance came, right? So it was very, very, I mean, I was very happy to see that. I mean, it was not even planned at all. So the other one, the other verse is the Narada's instructions to Vyasadeva. So there he gives this Tadvaga Vishargo Janataga Viplavo Kashmin Pratislokama Baddhavati verse. I mean, he says that on the other hand, that literature, I mean, which is full of descriptions of the Supreme Lord. I mean, of course, he says the literature that is material literature, which is a place for a pilgrimage for crows, right? I mean, only for those kind of crows will go. I mean, very dirty places. But this literature, the other hand, which is glorifying the Supreme Lord's pastimes, glories, and form, fame, name, all these things, that literature, even though it is a very composed and not very properly, right? There are a lot of mistakes. So it is actually accepted by the purified and thoughtful persons and honest people. So it gives a lot of hope. I mean, when we are trying to glorify the Supreme Lord, or the literature that glorifies the Supreme Lord, I know we make a lot of mistakes, grammatical mistakes, even the philosophical mistakes, but it still doesn't matter. I mean, that is the, I mean, always it's a big hope, right? So because our intention is, as long as it is clear, may not be very pure, but yeah, trying to be pure. So, but intention is actually to glorify the Supreme Lord. So then it is actually always good. It always makes. I mean, it is helpful for the individual as well as for the person who is going to hear that. So then the other verse is actually for me from the Bhagavatam 10th canto, Tattenu Kampam Susumikshamano Bunjana Yevatna Krutam Vipakam. And it's very, very nice verse. I mean, of course, to recite as well as to remember. And I mean, whenever I get through some troubles or some kind of a demotivation, kind of not demotivated, I remember this prayer. And then, I mean, it's very nice verse, right? I mean, one hardly waits eagerly, I mean, executing the devotional service, the liberation waits at the doorstep, right? Of that kind of person. Of course, we are not there, but I mean, yeah, at least it gives some hope, right? We are trying to serve the Supreme Lord, some whatever means that we are having. So the other verse from the second canto, we read in few months back, third chapter, Akama Sarvakama Ho Moksha Kama Udarida. I mean, of course, there Sukadeva Goswami gives to Parikshit Maharaj, so how to worship various demigods for various activities, right? Then again, he at the end actually he says that whatever desire you may have, right? Just glory, I mean, just worship the Supreme Lord. So it doesn't matter you have full of desires or no desires, right? So still worship the Supreme Lord. So that will bring all auspiciousness, right? So somehow or other add, I mean, Krishna to the activities that we do. So another beautiful chapter is the third chapter, third canto, second chapter. So where Uddhava was asked by Vidura, right, to speak about the Supreme Lord. Then Uddhava remembers all the pastimes of the Lord, right? He actually becomes silent for a few minutes. I mean, I don't know how much time, but it says he becomes silent for some time, and then again he comes back and he talks about all the glories of the Supreme Lord. Then he says, I mean, he gets very emotional. He says that the whole planet is misfortunate, right? Unfortunate. Even he says Yadus are unfortunate because they were just not able to understand that he is the Supreme Lord. Krishna was the Supreme Lord. He was among with them, right? I mean, he gets into that an extent. Of course, he himself says that. I mean, Prabhupada comments there. So he was with him, right? He knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord since when he was very small, but he thinks that he did not able to properly serve him, right? That's how Uddhava was thinking. Then actually I mean, I read those couple of verses at the end. Actually, he says, so in 22nd verse, right? Oh Vidura, does it not pain us, his servitors, when we remember that he, Lord Krishna, used to stand before King Ugrasena, who was sitting on the royal throne, and used to submit explanations before him, saying, "Oh my Lord, please let it be, let it be known to you." Right? He was submitting in front of Ugrasena. He is the Supreme Lord. And then he says again, the next verse, of course, the famous verse, Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kotam verse, right? So, alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of the mother to a she demon Putana, although she was unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast, right? Such a beautiful uh, uh, pastime Uddhava remembers. Right, the other one is the, of course, I mean, the one more last one is the Jia and Vijaya pastime when Kumaras visit there. So how everyone takes responsibility, including the Lord. So actually, initially in the don't remember the chapter numbers. So actually, initially, Kumaras, I mean, we all know the pastime, right? So Kumaras come and Jaya Vijaya and stops them. So, but then Kumaras got angry and they curse them, right? Because they're distinguishing. And then actually Jaya and Vijaya comes to know they accept responsibility or they made a mistake. So immediately they fall flat at their feet and they ask for forgiveness. And as soon as they got into trouble, Lord Vishnu comes there, right? Because their devotees got into trouble. Immediately he comes there and tries to, then he takes the responsibility. He says that they are my servants, it is my responsibility, right? Something like that he says. Then actually he gives a lot of verses there. It's very difficult to understand. Even the Kumaras, I mean, I think Prabhupada comments there. I don't know, Prabhupada comments or the Dara says, it says very hard to understand what Lord is saying, right? Because he takes responsibility. And then again, at that time, after some time, Kumaras they made a mistake, right? They got angry. They were sages. They are not supposed to get angry. And they take the responsibility saying that it's our mistake that we got angry. It was very nice. I mean, a pastime to take the responsibility. I mean, that's what sometimes it comes to me. I mean, it's of course it's such a wonderful pastime to happen, whatever happened after that, right? So these are all nice things. It's 8:02 already. So I mean, yeah, and maybe I'll stop here. I mean, yeah, only thing I just wanted to say one other thing is Bhagavatam is such a very detailed glories that gives all of us, and because the reason that it will help us to understand the way the Lord acts with his devotees. And I mean, if we are fortunate enough, right, in case if the Lord comes in front of us one day, right, we should be able to recognize him. Of course, we need his mercy, we need the devotee's mercy. But even with when we call that story, I remember, right, the woman in the forest who calls out the help of God to put that what do you call the wooden, not the wood pieces. Then the Lord comes and she asks, okay, can you please put this on my head? Right? We don't want to be in that kind of situation. So that is the reason that, I mean, if when we read this great literature, we will understand the glories of the Lord. I mean, He may come, of course, in a different way, right? He may not come like even a Narsinghadev, or which we can recognize. I mean, of course, we will be scared if Narsinghadev comes in front of us. I'm just saying, in case if somebody is a great personality like Prahalad, right? But still, I mean, if the Lord comes in a different form, it is very hard for us to understand, right? I remember if somebody says, okay, if Varahadev comes, we'll think he's a great pig, right? So we'll not be able to understand the Supreme Lord. But of course, we need Lord's mercy and we need to understand those finer details so that, only thing we can put is to use our mind and intelligence to understand the way the Lord acts with his devotees, and the Lord will help us the way that we need to understand him. So we'll be able to recognize him when he in front of course, we get a chance to meet him in person, right? Anytime in future. So that's all I have, devotees. Thank you so much for bearing with me for last half an hour. So if you have any comments, please share. Please forgive me if I said something wrong. So
Dandu Pranam Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I think I need to, I don't know if nobody speaks, then otherwise I'll shut up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories to Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Very nice talk, Prabhu. And your love for Bhagavatam is is very, very. I mean, you're like leading a movement in Naperville.
I'm getting inspiration from Munshidhar Prabhu.
Yes. You said, let's all get together, read. And we've been reading regularly. And it is like it's a very beautiful thing in the morning. And then you are there every time, inviting us to Maharaj's programs and always keeping us posted, and always keeping the spirit up for the whole Naperville community. So you are the leader and you speak very nicely.
All your support, we are able to continue glorify Bhagavatam.
Thank you for your enthusiasm and keeping us all, actively interested. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Vamshidhar, please go ahead.
After you, Prabhu.
I am one thing from my heart, Prabhu, I can say that Vamshidhari Prabhu is leading and you are following. And I am actually just seeing what is going on. So I don't know whether I will, I'm looking for, what do you call, I'm actually still Googling which ticket is better. So, but both of your tickets are already reserved. And then the way you have that love for Bhagavatam, you are distributing this love to everyone. That's what amazing is. And then the consistency, as Sandhya Mataji said, if we take a responsibility, I was thinking, if you don't take responsibility, then you are nowhere. Somehow you took that responsibility and see how Krishna is giving you that love. So we need to, all of us have to take responsibility. That is my realization based on what you said. And then whether you have love or don't have love, the love will develop when you are with the Srimad-Bhagavatam. That's my realization. And then moreover, the way you are doing, Prabhu, it's very inspiring. And you're actually, one thing is you are making an example for your family, or for your wife and children. That's number one. And to the community. That's an amazing thing, which you're wherever you are, whether you are in a vacation, wherever you are, still you log in and you do that responsibility, which is amazing. So I have to learn that from you. Thank you so much.
I wanted to do that. It's a selfish motive also, right? I mean, to so Bhagavatam. So,
It's not a selfish motive, Prabhu. It's
I want
basically,
to serve Bhagavatam, Prabhu. I mean, it is a selfish also, right? I wanted to do
that
that.
doesn't matter. We are all selfish initially. Then we will know. One day we'll come to know we are selfish. Then we'll start distributing. So that's how everybody has it. We always think that, yes, this is me. This is what I need to do, because it's just a matter of maturity. The moment we get there, we'll all get there. One day we'll realize. So end of the day, it is not for me. It is for others. Why? Because the blissful nature of Krishna, Radharani, that blissful comes only when we share with others. Till that time, you might be doing, I am doing, you are doing. But the way, see how Vamshadhari Prabhu is always blissful, because he started giving to others. That's what I realization. So you are part of it. Thank you.
Balaram Prasad Prabhuji, you are always kind.
It's
The
very
only thing
kind.
I want to ask is, maybe be protected from the false pride and the offenses, Prabhu. And we want to really receive your blessings and the prasada you are sharing on, Prabhu. Senior Vaishnavas, they say that's it.
That's what
Thank
I was
you.
thinking, Prabhu. When you said your ticket is guaranteed, I was waiting. Senior devotees say like that, right? It's always very nice. Please bless us. Yes, Prabhu. Sorry.
So Lakshmikant Prabhu, I was really thinking our session is so power packed.
Too many things.
No, it was really a lot of appreciation. And two things I was realizing. One is how humble you are. Of course, as Balaram Prasad Prabhu was telling, your family is wholly into Bhagavatam, including the kids also. But the top appreciation coming is how humble you are. You have such realizations from the Bhagavatam. And the second realization is no wonder Srimad-Bhagavatam has chosen you to be the coordinator for our ISKCON Nepal Bhagavatam classes, Prabhu.
I'm fortunate, Prabhu, with your help, with your guidance. So,
I will not say anything.
I will not say anything. I also don't want to say anything, but I could not stop. So
Krishna is really putting me on the spot. Hopefully, I'll survive.
I was thinking I should not say it. I know you won't like it, but I could not stop it.
Let me see if I can stay on Krishna consciousness. There are multiple others, so they want to share something, Prabhu, here.
Yeah, it's late actually, Prabhu. I think 8:10. I mean, somebody has some couple of any comments, we can.
It's okay, Prabhu. We want to take time to appreciate you today. Please accept my obeisances.
Oh, Shatrupal Mataji, I thought who is speaking? Sorry, Mataji. Somewhere else.
Srila Prabhupada, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us in the room here. Today is our Bhakti Vriksha. We are hearing your class today.
Oh, Krishna.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was very nice the way you appreciated Bhagavatam today. I think it was like section by section, whatever touched you from the beginning till what you're reading today, I guess, or to recent times. So thank you very much for sharing, Prabhu. And as everybody says, I am really wonderstruck about your everyday morning coordinating this Bhagavatam class, facilitating it and starting the Zoom on time and giving a wake-up call to me a few times, 10 minutes before Bhagavatam class. Did you wake up? Are you on the bed? Thank you so much for everything. Thank you. A few times I have, if you didn't wake me up, I wouldn't have woken up, honestly speaking. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It happened only once, Mataji. Not
Rest of the times it's you are in my dreams, I guess, waking up.
Sorry.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Will hand here devotees.
No, not
Hare
yet.
Krishna,
There
Hare
was- we
Krishna,
have a
Prabhu.
room.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Please accept my humble obeisances.
Oh, please accept my humble obeisances.
తెలుగులో మాట్లాడమా?
Yes,
మీరు చేసిన భాగవతం డిస్క్రిప్షన్ నిండా బాగా ఉండింది. ఫ్రమ్ ద వెరీ బిగినింగ్ భాగవతం టు ది ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ది భాగవతం you explained all things in such a way that nobody, that even a unknown to Bhagavatam can understand full Bhagavatam in your speech. It's very nice, Prabhu.
I was hearing from all the devotees and shared.
Yes, Prabhu, it's very nice, very, very nice. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I mean, I was always thinking, I mean, from your side, right? I mean, the way you constantly chant. So, I think you're not able to stop chanting also. It comes by default. I was thinking, that's why I was asking you, how old are you other day? So, I don't know what we will do when we get so old. So, thank you, Mataji.
You're not supposed to ask the age, but you are just
not to you, Prabhu. I asked Mataji.
supposed to say mercy from the Devi Shakti Mataji, because it's
I know. I was thinking. I was trying to see, Prabhu. I mean, if we get that old, even for example, forget about the 80s, right? I mean, can we really chant when we go to 60s, right? It's hard actually. I mean, but she is able to always chant. So she was sitting in the car. She was chanting. Yeah.
Prabhu, actually, because of her age, it's taking almost entire day to complete her 16 rounds. That's what is going on.
Whatever it is, Mother, she's chanting all day. I mean, I don't think I will be able to do it. I don't know. I mean, by Krishna's mercy, I should be able to do it. I mean,
but
with all the
inspiration is 30s only, Mataji.
What, Prabhu?
Her inspiration is 30s actually. The way she is doing, Mataji is doing.
Yeah,
that's true.
I will not take so much time. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
My humble obeisances. Thanks for sharing your inspirations, realizations. It's so inspiring, especially for the one whom just started Krishna consciousness or getting to know something about whatever we are all practicing in devotion. So people like me, not just you, every speaker is inspiring. There, especially the personal applications, or that is what it's needed for anyone. That gives much more hope and faith in our practice in devotion. So thanks for sharing again. Of course, as everyone is saying, you're also an example that we can look up and practice in our life. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Please continue to pray and bless us, bless me, so that I will not be proud and make, I mean, little bit more, develop little bit more love for Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, can I read one Radha Kunja Bihari Prabhu's message for you?
I read it, Mataji. I think I read it.
You read it? Okay. Good, Prabhu. Then I'm ready to leave now. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, devotees.
Yeah.
And here now, we'll do tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is Balram Prasad Prabhu's.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very excellent you did.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
I really like it. You just cover up everything. And you just told your experience from beginning to until now, whatever you got from Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Whatever I could remember, yeah. I mean, Bhagavatam is such a nice thing. I mean, right? So,
yeah.
Mataji.
Such a wonderful.
I mean, I remember yesterday I was sharing, right? I mean, anyway, I'll stop history. Oh, sorry. Today ended.